Searching for this all my life. You're just my type. I've been looking for a boy who can treat me right. Short dark hair, but those eyes so bright.
There is tea to spill, and I am here for it. The wait for more episodes of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is almost over. It's coming back to Hulu with an all-new season on May 15th. We'll finally get to find out what's going on with our favorite saints and sinners. Are Taylor and Dakota still together? Are Jen and Zach still dealing with the aftermath of their trip to Las Vegas? Will Whitney be back into the group after her actions last season? Plus, Demi and Jesse drama, Layla's shocking discovery, Miranda's arrival to clear up the swinging scandal, and so much more. This season is a tangled web of jealousy, exes, and drama, and I cannot wait to binge watch. It's going to be pure insanity. Make sure you watch the new season of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives coming to Hulu May 15th. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Scheananigans. Janet is back co-hosting with me today. And we are also joined by Dr. Jessica Zucker. She is a psychologist specializing in reproductive health and the author of the award-winning book, I Had a Miscarriage, a Memoir, a Movement, along with her recently released new book, which is right here. Janet, please show everyone on YouTube. Called NORMALIZE It. And this book really delves into pervasive cultural taboos and stigmas that women encounter through their lives. So right when I got this book sent to me, I was obsessed. There's a little blurb with my name in the beginning of it because I think this book is just something that all women need to read, especially all of my moms out there. There's so much great information. We're going to get into that a little more, but considering that this is Mental Health Awareness Month, we are now in May. I am turning 40, big milestone birthday for me. And there's just been a lot going on. And I felt like this is the best time to get real about some mental health struggles, some tools and tips and ways to navigate when you're kind of feeling a bit down. And yeah, so how are we both doing? Thanks for being here.
Good. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, how was your weekend?
Busy.
So Janet just filmed her first reunion ever. I know you can't say anything about it, but did you cry? Can you say that?
People laughed. People cried. Me and Jason needed to check into the Four Seasons afterwards for a staycation. That's what we did afterwards. I was like, all right, we need a wind down where we can order food, be chill. We brought Cameron and just a little family staycation afterwards. Nice. It was really nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Jessica, how was your weekend?
It is busy. I am so overwhelmed still by the book stuff. So it's been
I know.
exciting.
Congrats. It just came
Thank
out
you.
a little over a week ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm riding high for sure.
So exciting. I'm still in the signing books mode at home.
Yes.
I signed, I swear, well over 2,000 copies. And they're like, actually, we need you to sign all of the pages because they're binding them into the books and they have to leave room for error for printing and binding. And so I have 2,000 more that I'm still signing.
Every time I've seen Scheana in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, it's like at her house, we're like eating dinner, but she's signing books. Swim lessons, but she's signing books.
Yes.
Gymnastics class, but she's signing books. It's like in between everything. She's
amazing.
Rewatching Coachella while signing books. So.
I will say you have a beautiful signature though, and I'm excited to get a signed copy, hopefully.
I'm excited
too.
I
think I can do that.
Yes.
And she's doing them all so perfectly. I'm like, I feel like by a couple hundred, I would just be
at this point, now that I know there are so many extra, if I mess up the slightest, I'm like, do another one. But the first 2,000, I was like being so careful and taking my time because I'm like, I have to get these all right. Now knowing there's so many extras, I'm just like,
you still might sell them all
because I'm signing every single one. My mom was like, can't you just get a stamp or photocopy
That's
it?
what I think.
No, that's so impersonal. Like I am handwriting every single book.
So if somebody pre-orders from Amazon or anywhere, it's going to be pre-signed?
No, not Amazon. So
okay.
Premier and Barnes & Noble are doing signed editions.
I see.
Amazon is just Amazon.
Sending. Okay.
And then obviously when I go on book tour, I'll be signing all of those.
Wow.
But Yeah.
Snow, if you get a signed copy, you contributed to Scheana's carpal tunnel.
Yes. Is it carpal tunnel? Is it arthritis? I was looking up the difference. I think I might have arthritis.
I feel like afterwards, though, you're just like, my hand hurts.
It does. It really does. But yeah, any tips for a first-time author?
Well, I mean, I don't think you need them, but just hang on to your hat and enjoy the ride. It is, I think, a roller coaster, but it is so profound. I haven't read your book yet. I can't wait to read it, but yours is a memoir, right? So
yes, July 22nd, it'll be available.
That's a big deal. So yeah, when you put your heart out there, just get ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be ready. It's just going to come out and then I'm just going to have to answer to a lot of people and a lot of questions.
I think it's going to be a lot of truth, though, and filling in gaps that maybe people didn't get to see about you. And I haven't read it yet, but I've heard pieces and bits and things. And I feel like it's really going to, I don't know, like just really fill in those missing pieces of like the background story on some things. And I don't know.
I hope so. I mean, I wrote this book not to be liked. You know, I mean, I'm not the fan favorite. I know that's no secret.
I love that about you.
Me? No, I'm the fan favorite. I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody loves me.
But I want to be more understood. I feel like all of the people who don't like me, it's for the dumbest reasons. It's for the way something was edited when it's like, but you missed the whole other hour of that conversation. And so
nobody who knows Scheana well, it's all the people who are on the outskirts. Nobody who knows Scheana well doesn't like her. I can say that with confidence.
And I mean, so can I. And
so many great
I don't even know
friends.
her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why I had to do 2 birthday parties for my daughter. You know, we had 55 at one and 125 at the other RSVP'd. With the rain yesterday, kids being sick, about 25 I think dropped off, but we still had like a little over 90 people. So I'm like, all of these people showing up for us, you know,
I have 150
coming to my birthday on Wednesday. So,
well, here's what I'm going to say from a psychological perspective, though. The people that don't want to understand you are not going to, even if they read the truth, even if you say it like it is, they might just be dedicated to not liking people in general. Why? Because it may be a projection of their own stuff and who you represent to them, but it has nothing to do with you. But I'm sure you already know that. But it must be tough, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I mean, especially with, you know, us being on TV and everyone having an opinion.
Yeah.
And I mean, the keyboard warriors, they're on one at all times. Like that is their life. They have nothing else better to do than to just talk about someone who they're watching on a TV show who essentially is a stranger to them. And they have so many opinions and think they know everything. And it's one thing I said on my podcast last week about Janet. I'm like, anyone who meets Janet in person, you're like, oh, that's not like the Janet on the show. Not that she's a different person on the show, but you're seeing a certain side of her. You're not seeing her necessarily with all of her best friends and the people who bring out that fun, lighthearted side. And that's how it was for me when I started the show that I was on that is now rebooted because I was the one girl who the 3 other girls didn't like. So it's hard to see that fun, lighthearted side of Scheana when there's a bunch of people just pulling me down instead of building me up.
So did that impact your mental health?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the first season we filmed, I was pregnant. And so I was like 6 months through 8 months pregnant, and that was the first time I was on, you know, TV, had cameras in my life. So that was like tough. And then to have all the comments and things roll in when I was, I think, 4 months postpartum, it was like, oh, like this is a lot. Now I feel like I have gotten thicker skin with things. And you have to come up with like a really unique, funny insult to like really get to me. Like,
totally.
I've seen all of the other stuff and I'm like, all right, like come up with something new. It takes like a good one now to zing me. But
do you check? Like, do you go scrolling through and
I try not to scroll. Stuff comes up because, like, you know, on my algorithm, it knows that I'm connected to the world. But I try to swipe out so that the algorithm learns that I don't want to see stuff about myself. And now I have restrictions on my comments where you have to follow me to comment.
Right.
And that kind of prevents a lot of the, like, I call them drive-by comments where people are just like, come on my page, leave something mean, and then go away. I'm like,
and they don't even follow you most of the time.
I'm like,
why are you here?
You're seeking me out. Like, but so I think having it
it's
on
envy.
where you have to follow. I'm like, people who follow me, I feel like get it, and they'll leave more like constructive criticism, like maybe you shouldn't have said this, and I'm like, you're right, I shouldn't have said that. But
I still think people are just too bored if they're making comments like that. But I do think a lot of it comes from envy.
Yeah.
People who wish they were on TV, people who wish they were in the limelight or something.
Yeah. And they just like take one thing that one person said one time and run with it.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. But also at the end of the day, I'm just like always telling all of my friends who are new in this, just like try and stick it out because it is worth it. You know, I mean, the reward is definitely worth it, but it's hard getting there. It's definitely not easy.
Yeah.
It does take a huge toll on your mental health. And speaking of all of that, there are a lot of things that I want to get into along with not just being on TV, but mental health in general. So we're going to take a quick little break and I'll be right back. All right, are you someone who loves to shop? Because if you love to shop, then why not save money when you shop? And that is what is great about Rakuten. It is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. We're talking fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, even concert tickets, and so much more. Your favorite stores, if you're like me, you know, maybe you love to shop at Sephora or Ulta. Tarte Cosmetics, I'm obsessed with. It is the blush I use every day. You want to be a little fancier, you got Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue. The list goes on and on because, like I said, there are over 3,500 stores. So all of your favorite stores, they pay Rakuten to send them shoppers, and Rakuten then passes on a part of the payment to its members as cash back. The cash back is deposited directly into your PayPal account. Or Rakuten can send you a check, whichever you prefer. But I mean, how awesome is that? Okay. You can even maximize your savings by stacking cash back on top of other deals like store sales, coupons, you name it. Rakuten has it for you. It's like, what are you waiting for? Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. And that is Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up. All right, summer is on its way. And I'm not talking my daughter, I'm talking the season. And there is no better place to go for outdoor furniture than Wayfair. You guys have heard me talk about Wayfair on this podcast so many times, and that is because my house literally looks like a Wayfair commercial. From the second you walk in to every room and the outside, literally everything in between, even like the hallways. So Wayfair has a huge selection of outdoor essentials, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about. I literally just got this outdoor set for my patio, and I liked it so much that I actually ordered another one and I doubled it up. So I have double the seating, double the table space. I mean, it's amazing. It can help make your outdoor space more comfortable, functional, and most importantly, more you. Wayfair has all things outdoors and all at unbelievable prices. They also have sales all of the time. So whenever I get that text alert, I go on Wayfair and buy more stuff because you cannot beat the deals. So don't wait until summer's in full swing, okay? Get your outdoor space ready today so you can enjoy it all season long. I have been enjoying my outdoor patio furniture. It's free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff. No more huge delivery fees for patio furniture. Get all the big stuff like patio sets, gazebos, hot tubs, outdoor dining sets, and more shipped free. Shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online. This summer, get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Okay, and we're back. Yeah, I am absolutely exhausted after this weekend. We had Summer's fourth birthday party. It was kind of her fourth birthday party because I was like, we had her birthday party for her school friends. Then we had Palm Springs. We did a little party at the surf club and at our house. Then we did her party for all of our cousins, my high school friends, and just everyone else who she doesn't go to school with. Then that night, so I mean, definitely shouldn't have had her running around in the rain after, but she's with her cousins. She's playing. Brock's like, let her live her life. How did your mom raise you? Were you not allowed to run around in the rain? I'm like, no, absolutely not. That's how you get sick.
No, it was not.
And so she was having so much fun with her cousins. But then that night, she's coughing. Her nose is stuffy. And I'm like, I know she shouldn't have been out. It wasn't the warmest day, but the pool was heated. And yeah, that night she wakes up in hives.
Oh.
And I don't even know what that was from. Her skin is very sensitive. Honestly, it's probably because after the party, running around in the rain, swimming in chlorine, she didn't have a bath. She fell asleep in the car on the way home. And Brock and I are going, I'm like, no, she needs to have a bath. And he's like, she doesn't need to have a bath, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to fight with you. So fine. But she has really sensitive skin. So then she wakes up in the middle of the night, just like scratching, had to take an oatmeal bath at like 1 a.m. And then it's been a rough couple of nights. So
wow. Well, we're so lucky you're here.
Yes.
yeah. So I may look awake. I don't know if I do.
You do.
I'm
You do.
feeling very, but it kind of goes into the next subject I wanted to talk about. Just feeling down lately. It's something I've been wanting to open up about on this podcast because I do feel like it's very important to always be transparent with what we're going through as people who are public figures on a reality show, moms. There's a lot of stuff that we go through that maybe doesn't always make it on the show because maybe we're going through it in the off season, like I actually am. And I think it's been a combination of things. So I've really just been feeling depressed like the last 6 months. And it was something that I kept trying to just mask and say like, no, I'm fine. Like it'll go away. But it all started around The Masked Singer. Okay. Like I get asked to do this show and I immediately was like, hard pass. Absolutely not. Don't care how much money they're paying me. I'm not going to go on another show on national television just to get made fun of. I don't want to do it. My manager, my agents, the casting director, they all get on a phone call with me and they're like, no, Scheana, like, here's the reasons why you want to do it. It's not a singing competition. We're here to, like make you look good, sound good. It's going to be a fun thing. It's a guessing game. It's not a singing competition.
Oh.
And so I'm like, this was something that was so far out of my comfort zone that was so scary to go on a show that's, primetime national television. And the fact that I got asked to do it, I was honored, but so scared. And I'm like, so I'm going to say no to doing something that's a huge opportunity because I'm scared. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put myself out there as I always do, and I'm going to do it. So I get to set, I meet my producers, the vocal coaches, and I'm having the time of my life, like so much fun. And just like right when they said my name to go home, I was like, of course. I totally have a meltdown in my trailer. I'm like, this is why I didn't want to do this show. I'm not good enough. I get sent home first. Now everyone's going to make fun of me. Everyone's going to be like, exactly, you can't sing. Why would you do this? And I'm like, I wanted to put myself out there. And that's why I got this tattoo. It's just to show that like, I can do things that are uncomfortable. I can do things that are scary. And even if I fail or I don't succeed, like I can get back up and I can do it again. And that's how I want to raise my daughter. I want her to learn that it's okay to fall down. It's okay to fail. But still being in the secrecy time of it, that kind of messed with me too, because I'm not really able to open up to anyone in my life about what I'm going through. So I didn't tell my best friend. I didn't tell my husband, my mom, like no one. And I just swallowed it. I just was like, maybe I upped my meds a little bit, but then I started grinding my teeth a lot at night. And so I'm like, no, I'll just go back to like 25 milligrams as if that's enough Zoloft for anyone. Like it's not. I've learned that. I'm now on 75 and considering 100. But in that time, I was, able to talk to my psychiatrist.
Good.
Able to talk to my therapist. Then it's the holidays. Like I filmed this the first week in November. So then we're getting into Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, wildfires across Los Angeles, terrifying. Such a heavy month. Like thankfully we were okay. We didn't have to evacuate, but just the impact that had, on our community. Like it was a lot. I had so many friends who lost everything. And it was just a really heavy few months emotionally. And then we're in March and the show's airing. And then the episode airs. I had a bunch of like friends and family over for it. And I actually was really proud of myself. Like it wasn't bad. It wasn't the song I wanted to sing, but people pleaser Scheana and true fashion, just this song was suggested. And I'm like, okay, I mean, it's a good song. I'll try it. And so the episode airs. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And also people are like, oh, that was auto-tuned. And I'm like, no. I sang live. There was no auto-tuning whatsoever. I'm literally singing live, which I've also never done without a backing track and without an auto-tuned mic.
That sounds
it's one
terrifying.
or the other, or it's both. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. So we watch it back and I was like, you know what? I'm actually really proud of myself. And
as you should have been.
And I got so many amazing comments. They're like, you shouldn't have gone home first. Like you were robbed. Like you should have made it at least another week. And like the support I got was so overwhelming. It was so nice because I'm not used to that. Like everyone, they're just so mean all of the time. And it's always like what I do wrong, so many things. And so after watching that, I was like, okay, now I really need to focus on what's been brewing and what's going on, because I felt like getting sent home first was part of it, but it couldn't be all of it. Like it can't just be like one thing. So then I start thinking, like as excited as I am for this new chapter of my life, I got to film The Valley and be with all of my friends this past summer, which filled the void of not filming a season 12. But then the show getting rebooted, and it's like, that's a huge chapter of my life that now is just done. And as happy as I was for honestly that chapter to be done and to take the next steps and write a book, do all of these things, I'm like, wow, that's been a huge part of my identity that now is just done. And so I think a combination of these things just led to me kind of going into a depression, but I have so many things to be grateful for and to be happy about. And I wake up every day and I look at, I have 2 homes. I have a beautiful daughter, amazing husband, a great family, amazing friends. I have so much to be grateful for. Why am I feeling this way? Like, why is it hard for me to get up in the morning? Why have I not worked out in months? I look in the mirror. I don't like what I see at all. And I know I'm the only person who can change that. But I just haven't had the motivation to do it. I'm turning 40. That's another thing. I know there's extra hormones that start to get dumped into your body at 40. I'm on the Mirena IUD. I don't know if that is affecting me in some way, but I'm like, between the hormones and just everything I've been feeling, it just hit me where I'm like, you know what? I think I need to up my meds. I think I need to do something because whatever I've been doing isn't working. And I know when I work out, I feel better. But just getting back to the gym has been hard. So I feel like every week I sit here, I put on a happy face, I smile, I interview my guests, or I talk to my friends, or I just answer questions. I'm like, everything's great, but like mentally it hasn't been. And I just wanted to open up about that because I feel like you could have everything in the world and still not always feel completely happy. And that's why I wanted to have my best friend here and also you here today to talk about this, because I know you write about a lot of this in your book. And I just wanted to normalize it.
I mean, I have so much respect for you. I could cry. Your vulnerability is stunning and beautiful. And I wish it was more common that people were so in touch with how they feel. I'm not going to, I'm not your therapist, but I think that there's so much to what you said about the perfectionism and the desire to please. And I think it created probably so much pain that you were sent home. And what's interesting though is then you watched it and it wasn't as bad as you thought, and so you are modeling for your daughter what it's like to put yourself out there regardless of the outcome. And that's huge. But I don't think that just because we have a lot, we feel good. Or just because we have a lot, we're happy. And so I would try to not put that pressure on yourself. Like, oh, but I love my husband and my kid is so cute and this and that. It's like depression doesn't care about any of that. And it can come in like a tornado and swirl us into another land. And so not being able to exercise all of that, I'm going to just talk to your psychiatrist about adjusting things and your therapist potentially. There's probably so much grief around the other show ending and your identity being so caught up in that for so many years. I can only imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
I feel like that too. I remember on this podcast, we sat here the day the news was announced, and you guys had a little bit of a heads up before that, but when they said they were rebooting the show, and I asked you and Lala, like, how do you feel? And I felt like it hadn't really hit either of you yet, because you both were like, it's fine. It felt like the right time. And, you had a lot of kind of like, yep, this is it. Like, but not strong feelings about it. And anything you do for a decade, of course, when it ends is going to feel, it could be anything. It could just be, like your gym closing after a decade. That's like part of your everyday, your routine, your life, who you are. And having something suddenly change, that is jarring and confusing. And I'm sure a lot of it is like wrapping your head around what the next chapter looks like now that this one is closed.
Yeah.
And hearing you say too that you felt like a failure for doing Masked Singer, or like at first, right after it was done, it's like, I look at that and I'm like, you're so brave for doing it. So many people that I know watched it. It was so hard not to tell people like, oh my God, Scheana's going to be on it. But like so many people I know watched that and would die to be on. And like the fact that they asked you, it's like, it's not because they wanted to get you up there and make fun of you. It's they were like, Scheana Shay can handle this. Like she can do it. She can stand up at the bar at Sir and dance in front of an entire group of strangers. She can do it at the finale party of this. Like she's got what it takes to be up there and to really like make a fun show and dance and sing and like be yourself and have fun with it. And I hate that you ever felt that like that was a failure at all, because watching you and watching how the episode aired, I was like, oh my gosh, you killed it. I was so proud of you.
Thank
I was
you.
like, this is amazing. And, whether it's one episode or however many you can make it, you should be so proud of yourself for doing that. I saw Summer's face the whole time as she was watching, dancing around the living room, being like, my mommy's the bat. And it's like, like how you,
that's amazing.
You gotta just be like, she was so proud of you. Like she's watching it. Brox has beaming ear to ear with a smile. Like all of us were just like, oh my gosh, you're like up there doing your thing, being so great. And like, I hope in that moment it did shift it for you big time, because seeing all of your friends and family surrounding you and just truly, we could have been like, oh yeah, she's doing it. Like it wasn't like that at all. Everyone was so happy and proud of you and truly knew that you did a really good job.
Thank you.
And I hate that you ever felt like that was a failure, because I watched that and I was like, go Scheana. This is why I'm her fan.
Yeah.
I will also say, this might not be a popular opinion, but I think I'll put it out there. You're allowed to say no. Like, and it's great that you did it. It's and I want to watch it, of course, but you cannot do things and still model for your kid that we try things and we sometimes fail and sometimes succeed, or something in the middle. So, I think that's just something to consider as you march through this next phase of your life, that you don't have to necessarily say yes to everything, because it is so exposing. And yes, you ultimately felt good about it, but there was a lot of discomfort, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I am so glad that I did it. And I do often need a push to do the things that my immediate answer is usually no.
Oh, okay.
But then I get convinced that it's like, well, okay, I know you said that, but here's why you should. It could be the simplest thing is, I think you're going to want to get glam for this lunch and you're going to. And I'm like, no, I don't need to get glam and waste money on this. Then I get there and I'm like, oh, there's a full red carpet. I'm really glad I got glam. So it's like the simplest things that it's just my go-to is always, nope, not doing it. And then I need a little convincing and I'm like, I'm so glad I did.
Okay.
And
I've seen her say no to some things that I'm like, wait, they offered you how much and you said no? She's like, well, it just isn't, I don't really like that thing in real life, so I'm not going to promote it on my thing. And I'm like,
that's great.
Oh, for that much money, I'd be doing backflips promoting it. So I feel like this was a good thing to get out of your comfort zone for and give it a shot. And I'm happy you did because the episode turned out amazing.
Yeah. I feel like too with The Masked Singer, it just kind of took me back to the early VPR days where, I mean, yeah, it's like I didn't fit in. I wasn't good enough or just like people saying negative things. And I just knew I talk about this experience in my book because I was literally still writing my book when I was on the show. But I felt like everyone online was going to be talking shit, being like, put the mic down, you can't sing, like the same things they've always been saying. And I did get a chunk of that. But then also as I watched the show and literally the finale is this week, 2 of the people in my group were in the finale. I'm like, I didn't have an easy group either. I mean, there are so many amazing singers on the show. And as I watched it, I'm like, okay, I get why I went home first. And it's okay. Like, I think they've been trying to get Flavor Flav on the show forever. And right off the bat, Nick Cannon knew who he was. And so I'm like, after watching it, and then the other 3 people were like actual singers, like really good singers. So I'm like, I feel so much better about myself. I did it. It was so much fun. And I kind of blame myself that when I got the call, I manifested going home first. I go, I'll do it if I can only do 1 episode. And then everyone's like, well, you don't want to go home first. And then once I got there, I'm like, no, I don't want to go home first. Like, please scratch that. I never said that. But at the end of the day, 1 more episode would have been amazing. My second performance was so much stronger. I had a split. I started on a motorcycle. It was going to be so fun.
Awesome.
But just to get my fix of still performing that song, me and the 27s are going to cover it and eventually put that out. So
terrific.
I'll still get my moment. But
on that note too, you know how many other people feel the way you do, and I've felt at times where they are maybe like the outcast or not fitting in at the moment. And instead of watching you curl up in a ball and be like, I'm not doing anything ever again, and then feeling themselves like, I should curl up in a ball and never do anything again. Because I relate to her. They're watching you feel the same way they feel and then get up and do something that takes so much confidence. Like, you have to be so brave to do that. And they're like, okay, you know what? If she feels that little girl inside of her saying like, we're not supposed to be here, but she can do that, so can I. Like, it really is inspiring I feel like, to do things like that and show other people who feel the same way they can also get up and do something that's out of their comfort zone.
And that's why I have opened up about all of my mental health stuff, because I know that it does help so many people. And that's actually something I want to get into next. But I'm going to take a quick break and blow my nose off camera and I'll be right back. Are you like me and you're wondering what to send your kid for lunch, what to make yourself for lunch? Well, I have a solution for you, and that is you should get some Hero Bread. You can focus on your health goals and still indulge in your favorite bready meals guilt-free. So Summer is obsessed with her sandwiches. Brock is obsessed with, as he calls them, his wraps, but he loves his tortillas. And I personally love my bagels in the morning. Literally, this Hero Bread, it's so soft. It's so fluffy. It's so good. Their baked goods also are mouth-watering while being ultra low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, and they're high in fiber. So you don't feel guilty when you're eating it. For example, their Hero Classic Plain Bagel, which is my personal favorite, 4 grams of net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, but get this, 19 grams of protein. So I can feel like I'm getting my protein and I'm still eating bread. I'm enjoying it. Slap a little cream cheese on it. Yes, please. And Summer is obsessed. You'd never know it's low net carb and high fiber bread from the texture. Get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love, whether you're grilling seasonal favorites like burgers or packing fresh wraps on everyday lunches for your kid, your husband, your wife, your friends, whoever. No compromises, just flavor. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code GOODASGOLD at checkout. That's goodasgold at hero.co. And if we're going to talk about what else we're eating, let's make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy because you just heat it up and enjoy it, giving you more time to do what you want. So if you don't have time to make that sandwich or make whatever you need to do for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, Factor does it for you. All of the meals are fresh, they are never frozen, and they are ready in just 2 minutes when you chuck them in the microwave. So get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrives fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. They have 45 weekly menu options. You can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. You can choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and so much more. They've got vegan, vegetarian. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring and going into the summer. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. Get started at factormeals.com/goodasgold50 off and use code goodasgold50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code goodasgold50 off at factormeals.com/goodasgold50 off for 50% off plus free shipping. Enjoy. Okay, we're back. My face is still red, but my voice is a little better. So with opening up about my postpartum OCD journey, I've seen the impact that it's had. Like, so many women and men have reached out to me just to say that they were silently struggling and didn't realize that they had OCD. As you know, it is so often misdiagnosed for postpartum depression.
Yes.
And I know I've had OCD my whole life, but I had no idea that postpartum OCD was a thing. And now it's like, I think now she's 4. I'm out of that postpartum phase, but I still struggle with OCD. I still struggle with anxiety. And before I was pregnant, I was on medication for years. And then when I got pregnant, I got off everything because I had the miscarriage, as you know. It's how we got in touch.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to be on anything. So even when I was breastfeeding, I was just so afraid of anything that could harm her. And so it took a while for me to just admit that I think I need to be back on medication. And now I'm on Zoloft, which is for all of the things. It's not just for depression or anxiety or OCD. I think it kind of covers all of the bases. And I think that a lot of people think of OCD as the washing the hands, being extra organized, being really clean, and don't know about the intrusive thoughts, which I feel like most everyone has. I mean, Brock is the furthest thing from having OCD or anxiety as a person that I know, but he still will get intrusive thoughts. And I think as a parent, that's normal.
Yeah.
But me opening up about it, I have a mom friend at summer school who is a therapist. And she told me that she had a couple of her patients open up to her saying that they saw my story and that they now realized what was wrong with them. There was one person who was literally suicidal because she just could not get it together and realize what was wrong. And after seeing me share my journey, now I've had so many people. I'm working with the International OCD Foundation. I'm going to Boston in 2 weeks, or next week actually, for the OCD walk. And I know that in my life, like, this is one of my purposes, is just to normalize it and talk about it. And I am not saying this, to get like any kudos, but I do want to demonstrate the impact that verbalizing our struggles can have. And I feel like our society has come a long way. Mental health struggles are being brought out of the shadow, discussed openly on social media, on television. And this all helps paint a more accurate picture than the harmful stereotype of, the depressed woman who can't get out of bed because she's
Exactly.
lazy, that has just like persisted for years.
Right.
And that was the one thing that finally made me open up about it. Was about a month ago, Brock made a comment that it was a day that Summer didn't have school, whether it was like a Wednesday or a Saturday. It was a day that I don't have to be up and out of bed at 7 a.m. And I just didn't want to get out of bed. And it was close to 9. And then finally, like, he was downstairs with her. She was fine. And then he was just like, there's no excuse to be like sleeping till 9. And I was like, A, you're right. B, I was just like, and I just didn't say anything. And I was like, yeah, I know, I feel really lazy. That night we had 2 of our parent friends over, and this couple, Aubrey and Noah, I absolutely love them. I feel like the wife and I, we get along on so many of like just the woman and mental health levels, but the husband and I are so similar personality wise that it's just a perfect mix when the 4 of us are together, because I'm like, he gets me, she gets me. And so we're all at my house one night. The kids are upstairs having a play date. And Brock had made a comment. Whatever it was he said, I don't remember. And Aubrey looks at me and she goes, you look like you're about to cry. And I'm like, why did you say that? Because now I'm going to cry. And I just lost it. And I was like, okay, I'm finally going to say it out loud. Like, yeah, I think I've been depressed. Okay. And it was just like the 4 of us. And like, thankfully the kids were off playing, because I do not like to cry in front of Summer. She's so empathetic. She feels it. And it's heartbreaking when she's like, why is mommy sad? And so
she's like you.
She is. And so I opened up to them about it, and they both just turned 40 as well. And so then Aubrey was telling me about the hormones and this and that. And so having 2 people who also have a kid the same age, who are my age, Brock is 5 years younger than me. It just felt so good and such a safe space in my home with these 2 people to open up about it. And Brock finally in that moment, he was just, I didn't want to get out of bed. Okay. And that's not a good feeling. And it just like clicked where he was like, oh, like there's something more to this.
Good.
And it felt so good to say it out loud. And I was like, look, I have my psychiatrist appointment this week. I'm going to up my meds a little bit and just see if that helps. And other than today, I have been feeling better since we upped them. And at my next appointment, I might consider going up 25 more, because I do absolutely notice a difference going from 50 to 75, which has been great. But just being able to open up about that, and it felt good, because it's like you keep it inside and you don't say it out loud. And when you do say it out loud, other people can relate. It's a weight taken off you. And I think sharing our personal experiences helps to dismantle shame, and it can foster connection, and I feel so much closer with these parents just since that day. And they're actually throwing my birthday party for me on Wednesday. They've opened up their home to me. They're just like, because I was like, I don't even want to do anything for my birthday. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm over it. Maybe this summer we do something, take a trip, but like, I just was so over it. And they're like, no. We are planning a party for you. So
you can't skip your 40th.
I know,
I've been saying this for weeks when she's been saying, oh, no, we'll just figure out something later. I'm like, no, we got to figure out something now.
Yeah. So, Jessica, I want to ask you, like, tell me a little bit more about why you wanted to write this book about, it's obvious, normalizing it, but some of the biggest, like, key messages that people can take from this that'll help with the things that I've been discussing with myself.
Definitely. Well, I'll go back a little bit. So I specialize, as you mentioned, in women's reproductive and maternal mental health, and have done so for about 15 years at this point. But when I came to the field, when I got my PhD, I did not have any personal experience that I had gone through that informed what I wanted to specialize in until I did. So when I was 16 weeks into my second pregnancy, I had a miscarriage while I was home by myself. I had to cut the umbilical cord. Sorry. This makes me uncomfortable. And I promptly began to hemorrhage. And my husband was, darting through LA traffic trying to get home from work to me. And our son was at preschool. And my doctor suggested that I bring the fetus in a bag to her office to be tested. And then to make matters all the more dramatic, traumatic, just horrid, I had to then undergo an unmedicated DNC. It was unfathomable and inevitably kind of changed the course of my personal and professional lives. So I was not somebody to get on a soapbox about stuff in general. I wasn't really even into social media at that point. And I turned to the research, and the research shows that a majority of women are feeling a sense of self-blame and shame and guilt and body hatred in the aftermath of miscarriage. And I was like, no, I have to do something about this. I just felt like, should I take the risk like you have and be vulnerable about my situation? And professionally, it was a risk because as a psychologist, putting the contents of your life out there, that's not necessarily the norm. And I decided it was worth it. And so on October 15th, 2014, I launched the I Had a Miscarriage campaign with my first New York Times piece. And I just put it all out there. I was holding a sign that said hashtag I had a miscarriage. You couldn't see my face because I wanted women around the world to be able to envision holding it themselves. And in this piece, I was basically compassionately urging women to question, if you haven't shared your story, why? If you're feeling ashamed, why? If you're feeling a sense of self-hatred, why? And so that led to my first book, I Had a Miscarriage, a Memoir Movement. This new book is an expansion of all of that because I realized that the swirling trifecta of silence, stigma, and shame actually begins in girlhood, follows us all the way through menopause and then some. So this book really invites people, urges us to take a look at all of the milestones we've gone through and how can we be part of replacing the silence with storytelling.
I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember thinking about this, I guess, just the shame around miscarriages and the language around it. When I got pregnant, the second I took a test, told my husband. Next morning, we called, grandparents on both sides, my mom, his mom and dad. And my mom was so excited and over the moon. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to start telling close friends and family. And she's like, well, don't tell anybody until you hit the 12-week mark. That's what you're supposed to do. And I remember at that time, and I was like, why? She's like, well, if something happens, you don't want to have to explain it to everybody. And I was like, that's
Twisted.
An interesting thought process. And I know that it came from how she was raised.
Yes.
And, her mother probably, I assume my grandma had 6 children. I assume she had miscarriages in there statistically. She probably did. And I wouldn't be surprised if my mom wasn't sure of it. I know that my mom had miscarriages in between my brother and I don't think I knew about that until I was older. And I remember at that time saying back to my mom, like, I'm not going to announce it necessarily on social media because I don't want to have to explain everything to everyone. And I want this to be kind of a quiet time, but I am going to tell all of my best friends because if something bad happens, I want their support.
Exactly.
I want them to know. I don't want to just, hey, by the way, I was pregnant, then something bad happened.
Right.
So now I'm not. Now I'm hitting them with a bus of hormones and emotions that I'm going through instead of them kind of being along the journey with me. Scheana had opened up so much about her miscarriage. And I was like, if this happens, and God forbid it does, but if it does, I know that she'll be an amazing support system and somebody I can talk to about this. And I also wanted to rework the you have to wait to tell everybody in case that mentality has been pushed, I feel like, on women for so long. And it shouldn't be. It should be, at least to your friends and family, a process that they're a part of, just like everything else in my life. I tell my friends so much, what I had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. How am I not going to tell them that I'm going through one of the biggest things in my life, whether it goes all the way to full term or it doesn't? I'm like, I want, the people I talk to every day that offer me support in every other area of my life to be aware of what is going on.
To basically require us to hide our joy in case it becomes grief so that we don't have to share our grief, I think is incredibly mixed up.
Yeah.
and really makes women feel that much more alone and isolated and alienated from their communities. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. And then when you put on national television, I mean, she filmed her first season pregnant, second season, 6 months, maybe postpartum?
It was like, 6, because I had just stopped breastfeeding.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for people to see you at the reunion because now I feel like this
Really
is
back in my full self. Yeah.
But I feel like also, dealing with comments where people question why your husband is with you based off your appearance. But I know, that's been a struggle for you as well.
Totally.
The book critiques the societal pressure on women to, bounce back and just physically after childbirth, which I know when you filmed the season, I mean, you're definitely not at the weight you're at now.
I've been very careful because the way the shows kind of air, it seems like it's really quick. People are like, oh, that was just like a month ago, right? And it's like, I've been very, I worked really hard to get back to what I consider my normal weight. But I didn't bounce back right away. It's been 16 months. I think it took me about 14 months before I was at my pre-baby weight. So, when we filmed, I was about halfway there. And now I'm down. It depends if you count the baby or not. Right before I gave birth to right now, I'm down 70 pounds.
Yes.
But I've been very careful also to, when people are like, oh, you lost it right away, because they see, oh, you were just pregnant on TV. Now you're this weight. And I'm very careful to be like, it took 14 months. Like, take your time.
Yes.
Like, exercise. Like,
Right.
I enjoyed actually losing the weight. Like, I love Pilates. I love going. It was like, actually, after having a baby, I love going to Pilates more because it's my 1 hour where I get to not think about him, my life, anything. And I just get to have my own, mental health hour of like thinking about my breathing and not much else. So it's like, I'm like, I wasn't like starving myself or doing these crazy things to try to lose it right away. I took my time and was like, fell back in love with Pilates, took my time doing that, and just like let the weight come off with these new lifestyle changes instead of, counting the calories and scale and all of that. I tried to avoid staying away from all that.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure of perfection for women, and including mothers, that we're supposed to look like we never had a baby the day after we have one, is unfathomable and ridiculous. And I do think through replacing the silence with storytelling, we actually hopefully can carve out a new cultural phenomenon where it's not expected. We can't, I mean, everybody does sort of want to lose the weight. It is uncomfortable to kind of not feel like you're yourself. But why should it happen overnight?
It shouldn't. I feel like it's actually better to really take your time with it. And even now, just because I'm at my pre-baby weight, my body is completely different now. And I've struggled with, where I'm like, oh, my stomach is like a lot more flabby now. It's loose skin, it's stretch marks, all of that. And where I'm like, oh, I need to get a tummy tuck to get this, fixed and whatever. My husband's like, why? He's like, your belly was our son's first home. And that's something he said to me. And he's like, so when I see that, I think like, that's the first place he had a home.
I love it.
Okay, well, now I can't get
That's
a tummy
the
tuck
truth.
if you say it like that.
That's
like,
the truth.
But it's, I'm happy that my body will never be the same. I look at my breasts so much differently. After breastfeeding, I'm like,
yeah,
that's why I have these things. And they like nurtured my child. And, even if they're a little bit lower than they used to be, it's like, well, yeah, I pumped milk for 7 months out of these things.
Yeah.
Like, of course they look different, but like, look how healthy my baby is. He's like a little chunk because he got all the milk. And I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Yeah.
But it is, I feel like, especially in LA, the must get mommy makeover after baby is like, it was like, oh yeah, that's just what I'm going to do. Right. Maybe I should have the second kid. Then I'll do this. I'm like, I don't know if maybe one day I'll change my mind. But as of right now, I'm like, I don't think I'll ever feel like I have to do that.
That's good.
And hope that I can, I don't know, normalize how bodies change.
Yeah.
Like,
I love hearing that.
if and when there's another season of the show, like, I hope I feel comfortable like wearing a crop top and being like, yeah, I have stretch marks and stuff there, but this is my body now.
Totally.
That's great.
And like,
Yes.
I know
the crop
that
tops.
it's like, I know that a lot
Rocket.
of other
Never too old to
people
wear a crop top.
are doing that.
Yeah.
I love it.
In your book, you note that when women become mothers, the focus is typically on the baby and that we need to do a better job of mothering the mother. Can you give us some tips on how we can do that?
Well, I think it's exactly like what you were saying happened to you, probably that you were suffering. I don't know when you started suffering after the baby arrived, but
It was before she came.
oh, okay. It was during pregnancy. Yeah. But it's like then the baby is there and everybody's cooing over her and loving on her and making sure that she's okay and she's fed and she's sleeping and changed and all the things. But the attention is not on the new mother. And I do think, I mean, we hear this when it comes to postpartum depression and anxiety a lot, that the suffering is compounded by that silence. People think that if they open up about what they're going through, that it's going to make them look like they're not a good mother, good mother.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, you know, they worry, are people going to think I don't love my baby? That's so often not the case. And like you said, people think that depression looks like, oh, you're laying in bed all day. That's so often not how it is. People can be raging in a depression. So it can look all different types of ways. But I think if we ignore the mother, we're going to miss out on helping her. And the only way a baby thrives is through the mother thriving herself.
Yeah.
And so if she doesn't get the help she needs, you know, there are studies that show that even developmentally, the baby cannot thrive in the same way. And we're concerned with the bonding, right? So the bonding and the attachment, if the mother is unable to be attuned to the baby when the baby needs whatever, then that will have an impact. And we will see that in the child as they get older. And so getting help as soon as we realize we need it, or it could be a best friend noticing that you need it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't realize how badly we are suffering. That makes all the difference. And so there's the baby blues that are normative. But if it goes past 4-6 weeks of, you know, struggling or being weepy and feeling kind of, you know, just hormonally overwhelmed, then we have to take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I think women really need to be on top of taking their emotional temperature in the beginning of motherhood, just really asking them, where am I at? And being honest. You don't have to say it out loud necessarily, but knowing it. And then somehow reaching out for help if things aren't going well.
Yeah. I think too, when you were talking about being a good mom, you know, women are expected to be overjoyed about pregnancy and relish nesting and read all of the pregnancy books and all of that. And I know I have a couple friends right now who are pregnant who are just miserable and they're like, get this kid out of me. But then also both of them had experienced a miscarriage. They're like, I know I'm supposed to feel so overjoyed and so excited, but it's like, it is hard. I mean, I don't know if it's more rare for me. I feel like I had a perfect pregnancy. Like I was like, I could totally do this again until it all went to shit 15 hours into delivery. And now I will probably go a surrogate route. But I feel like that's one thing where it's like, you know, good mothers are expected to have also a perfectly flat stomach after delivery. They're expected to breastfeed and to, you know, just all of these things where it's like, and then if you can't breastfeed, there's something wrong with you. And that could also lead to postpartum depression. And women are expected to minimize every other aspect of their identity, like as a partner, a sister, a coworker, you know, all of the things. And I think that when good mothers are expected to demote their own basic needs for personal space, caring for themselves and looking out for their own interests, there is a lot of pressure. And it's not enough to just like lay out these things on the altar of parenthood. You know, good mothers must be happy about it and not complain, because there's a lot of things that sometimes it's hard and you want to complain. And it's like Summer's like having a fit and I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And Janet's witnessed that with me, where I just like sat outside and I was just like crying. So I'm like, I don't know how to help her when she like goes into these little moods and she wants to just hide in the corner. I'm like,
so overwhelming.
Do I give her space? Do I tell her, like, tell me what's wrong? It's just, it's
My advice
hard.
to her is, I'm like, you're such a good mom because you care so much.
Yes.
You're looking at her, you're telling her feelings are valid. What can I do to help you through this?
Yeah.
And you know what? She's 4. Like,
Yeah.
there's some times where it's just like, I think it's Miss Rachel that's like, big feelings. It's like, it's okay to have big feelings.
Yes.
It's like, she's a 4-year-old. There's
Yes.
times where she might just be sad or mad for
Yes.
not really any reason. But you're such a good mom because in those moments you take time with your daughter to say, like, I understand you're feeling upset. Like, what did that? Let's do this. What would make you feel better? Do you just need some alone time? Do you need this? Like,
Yeah.
and, you
we
know,
try
if-
to do like a thumbs up, thumbs down.
if you didn't care, you'd just be like, oh, she'll get over it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're doing all the things though that make it better. And she feels seen by you.
Yeah.
She's like, I can go to my mom if I'm mad, angry, sad, whatever it is, and she's going to help me work through it and find the thing, figure out why and how to make it better.
Yeah. The last thing that I wanted to get into that you talk about in your book are PMADs, which for those of you who don't know, perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. Postpartum depression and anxiety are the most commonly recognized PMADs, but this group also included OCD, which,
Yes.
hello, panic disorder, PTSD, and psychosis. And I feel like I also do have a bit of PTSD from my labor that I've done EMDR therapy for, which has been incredible. But just like mood disorders among the general population, many women never receive treatment. And between 50 to 70% of these cases go undiagnosed or treated, which is insane. That
It
more
really
than
is.
half.
It's so scary.
I saw that the CDC, they reported that the US has the highest maternal mortality rate of any wealthy nation, and more than 80% of these deaths are preventable. Leading cause of death is mental health conditions. Currently, suicide accounts for up to 20% of postpartum deaths.
Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't know it was that
I know.
high.
Crazy.
That's a
Horrid.
crazy number.
Yeah. Why do
Wow.
we think this is?
I think it's because people are not speaking out like
Yeah.
you are. And I think a lot of people don't have access. And I think culturally and socioeconomically, it can be challenging, even religiously. Some people will just say, you know, pray and you'll get through this, or just exercise or go to acupuncture, make, you know, suggestions that are well-meaning, but not necessarily helpful.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't get on the right meds, if we don't get the right care, this can become an ongoing depression. This can become intractable. And so, and then it leads to something like suicide because they feel trapped.
Mm.
Do you think that social media has a play in it, in that I feel like as a woman, you see all of the baby pictures and all of the, you know, perfect, and it's like this happy family and this, and you don't see the behind the scenes often. You just see the highlight reel of
Sure.
motherhood and children. And then, you know, your real life, you're like, I'm being spit up on every day. I'm not getting ready and looking my best. I'm like just surviving and getting through it. For me, that was tough. Like seeing, you know, out there, I'm like, oh, like, am I supposed to be scheduling some sort of photo shoot with myself and my baby and like getting all dressed up? I'm like, I'm literally
Absolutely
like,
not.
I'm still in diapers. I'm still like, you know, dealing with my own stuff. I'm like, how does everybody get this all done and whatever?
Right.
And then I remembered, like, you know what? Everybody's different, and they might have more energy than I do right now. And that just might be also, they might have struggled just to get there and get through that day. So it's like, but I do feel like there's a lot of pressure with that front
Definitely.
of comparing, you know, your life to what you're seeing other people. And it's not always the truth.
It's definitely not. And I think, you know, suicide is often, it's somebody is feeling that badly in that moment and can't see past that moment. With the intrusive thoughts, I think people get terrified. And I don't know exactly what you went through. But when people think they might hurt their baby or harm themselves, and I think, you know, that can become so intense and overwhelming that they don't want to persist. They don't think that they're a good mother. They don't understand the concept of good enough mothering that Donald Winnicott introduced. He's a pediatrician and psychoanalyst. And the idea of good enough mothering is that we are present and there, but it doesn't need to be all the time. We don't have to be these perfect mothers. And so this cultural ideal that we grow up around and feel pressured by is hurting all of us.
Yeah.
I just want to share, I know we've talked about this a little bit on this podcast over the years, but I had a suicide attempt in 2018. And I try to be open and talk about this because for me, it got better. And that's like the message that I always, the It Gets Better campaign really struck a chord with me. I'm like, this was a time in my life where I was not in a happy relationship. I didn't like my job. I didn't like where I lived. I was going through so many daily things that weren't making me happy. And I got to a point where I had a breakdown and attempted.
Wow.
And it's literally the next morning when I opened my eyes, I was so grateful that I didn't succeed. And I was like, okay, I got to change everything about my life now. I let it get too bad and ignored things for a long time. And I have to get a new apartment. I've got to get out of this relationship. I got to get out of this job that I hate. I have to actually make changes because that was too close for me.
Wow.
And now I look at where my life is and where it was and the work it took to get there. And I'm like, it absolutely gets better.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful I had that experience before becoming a mother, but I understand how all of those hormones and emotions and feelings with motherhood could easily get you to that same place in depression. But it's part of the reason I have shared my story and talked to friends and anybody who's depressed or, feeling like they might be getting to that point. It's like, it absolutely gets better. You will wake up the next morning grateful to be alive.
Such a powerful message.
I know in some communities, mental health resources are scarce or it might take a while to get in with someone. So if someone is feeling off, where would you recommend that they go?
I mean, I would turn to Postpartum Support International. There are a lot of organizations out there that have 800 numbers and hotlines you can call in. There are also many cities that offer free therapy. So even if people don't have the money to pay top dollar, there are sliding scale clinics all around the country. I think, those are the best places.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for being here today. This was something that I have been wanting to open up about for a while, and I just felt like May, Mental Health Awareness Month, turning 40 this week. This was the time. So thank you, Janet, Dr. Zucker, for being here today for this very important conversation and just for opening up about everything. Dr. Zucker's latest book, NORMALIZE It, is available Amazon, Barnes & Noble. I'm sure wherever you get your books, check it out. You'll see, not that, everyone likes to say I like to make things about me. So also in the book, I blurbed it.
Yes,
So
you
there's a little bit of
did.
me
I
in there
was
too.
so honored. Yay.
And you can watch Janet every Tuesday on The Valley on Bravo and listen to her podcast, This Side of the Hill, and leave some nicer comments, okay? Let's be nice. And if you haven't yet, you can also pre-order my book, My Good Side Now, at mygoodsidebook.com. There are a limited number of signed editions that I need to go home right now and finish signing. So get your orders in. I'll see you back next week. And thank you guys for listening, watching, following along my journey. Love you all.
I've been searching for this long.